Welcome to the Pulse live from our studios here in Kokomlemle. I am Amiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Coming up, Electoral Commission working around the clock to complete collation of outstanding constituencies ahead of January 7th.
What we are going to do, we look at the 3 polling states. We've requested our officers to bring us the evidence supporting that. Once we have those evidence, the commission will go ahead and do the needful.
We'll link up with our correspondent with the latest from the EC's office. Also coming up, Ghana Standards Authority deploys team of well-trained trading standards inspectors to conduct market surveillance in various markets, supermarkets and filling stations to ensure that patrons get value for their money in this Yuletide. Also, the Director General, Professor Alex Dodo, will be in studio with us for modalities and what is in it for the public.
The noise is, and especially at 3.
Now you're seeing in your shot, some patrons of the Labadi Beach Hotel have raised serious concerns about excessive noise levels caused by activities at the Polo Beach Club, which shares a wall with the hotel.
Extremely egregious, and especially at 3 in the morning.
Biggest Christmas party in the country, the Joy FM Family Party in the park, coming up at the Ebri Botanical Gardens on Thursday. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communications, Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation for all. Live on DSTV on channel 421 and GoTV 125. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and myjoyonline.com for these and more. Please stay with us. Now, the Electoral Commission is this afternoon defending its decision to allow for the re-collation of some 9 constituencies results after they were initially declared in the just-ended elections. The Electoral Commission's move to re-collate the 9 constituencies sparked debate, with some questioning its timing and impact. However, in an expose this morning, the Commission insists that the re-collation ensures the integrity of the electoral process and aligns with its mandate to deliver free, fair and credible elections. Now we'll take a look at the Electoral Commission's tweet that was posted this morning. If we could have that on our screens. And so this Electoral Commission is saying that they've been justifying the reasons for the collation or recollation of the results in these constituencies. But we've also been hearing from the Electoral Commission's Deputy Chair in charge of Corporate Services, Dr. Bosman Asari, who has been speaking to my colleague Benjamin Akapo on the issue. We'll hear from him in this earlier interview, and then we'll touch base with our correspondent James Aveji, who was at the press conference this afternoon on the latest developments over there.
The evidence available, will look at it. Unlike the other ones, we don't know, we didn't know the winners. The counting continued and we were able to know the winners. But for this one, as you said, Madam Akrugu was declared. So what we are going to do, we look at the 3 polling states. We've requested our officers to bring us the evidence supporting that. Once we have those evidence, the commission will go ahead and do the needful. Because we are committed to ensuring that the right things are done. And that's what we are just doing.
So you're saying that as of now, you've still not looked at the evidence as far as...
Also, our people have fed us with a lot of information. The commission will meet over written. A decision will be taken as to when to have the returning officers meeting over the 2 constituencies so that we put everything... Well, you know, we need to gazette the results from the 2 polling stations. The others are in the process of being gazetted. So we are working on that.
Now, on that issue, we know the Kwashiman cluster of schools went up in flames. There were ballot boxes there and all of that. What happens to that constituency then?
No, that's why the commission is going to meet, and usually...
Because at least there too, I believe it was Irabna Obin
Yes.
who was declared
yes.
the winner.
And she was declared with 77.9% of the polling stations.
And now
that's unacceptable.
Right.
It's not done.
And now the rest of the evidence is lost.
Yeah, so, no, you know, the last time they met, they were able to get, out of the 62 outstanding polling stations, they were able to get about 37 of them.
No, 25.
25, so meaning we have 37 outstanding.
Deficit.
Yeah. So
are you going to be able to retrieve that?
Oh yes, the commission is looking at all the options available. Once we look at all the options available, a determination will be made, then the process will continue.
See, all of us are aware that from the two political parties, they were saying that they were able to collate their result before 12 midnight on the 7th, right? Mean that all of them have the results. So the question I pose is, why are we here? Because if you have the results, I also have the results. Just a matter of...
I've actually asked them the same question, that if you have your set of results, bring them and let's reconcile. Why do you think it's difficult to bring their results so that you can reconcile?
Oh, they will be able to explain. So the most important thing is that because the results are already in, with time, the commission will be able to get all the results in either hard copy form or soft copy form. Once they get them and they are reliable, they will be used.
An earlier interview that my colleague Benjamin Akapo had with Dr. Bosman Asari and Dr. Sribo Kweko. Now, this afternoon, there's been some developments at the EC office, and we'll touch base with my colleague James Aveji, who's been there for us. James, what's the latest from the Electoral Commission's office?
Well, Mami, I say the Electoral Commission has been speaking to key issues surrounding the election, as you have indicated earlier. 3 key issues. One, you know that the political parties, especially the National Democratic Congress, has been accusing the Electoral Commission of engaging in what they describe as illegality in the re-collation of and redeclaration of the 9 constituency results that have been in contention. In fact, 7 have been done. We now waiting for 2 more, Dom Kwabena as well as Ablekuma North constituency to be re-collated and redeclared. And so the Electoral Commission has been responding to that. They cited incidents in the electoral history of the country where there have been redeclaration and re-collation starting from the year 1998, according to the Electoral Commission, all the way to the year 2008. They cited cases from Tolon constituency, Yape-Kusau constituency. In fact, they said in 2004 elections, the coalition process was disrupted in the Tolon constituency, preventing the returning officer at the time to declare the final result. And so due to that, the final declaration stage of the coalition had to be moved to Tamale, the regional capital, for final declaration. They talked about Yape-Kusau constituency as well. And then in 2008, the case of Pru constituency, even before it was further divided into 2, in the Pru constituency, an initial candidate was declared at the end of the coalition process, but because there were some chaotic situations there, the Electoral Commission picked the position that that declaration wasn't done properly, and so they overturned the decision of the returning officer at the coalition center and redeclared that in the favor of another candidate in the same election. And so based on this, and according to them, the provisions of CI 127, they take the position that what they are doing now does not amount to any form of illegality, as the political parties, especially the NDC, has been describing it. And so that's the first issue they talked about. The second one got to do with the 2 outstanding constituencies that are still yet to be declared. We know Don Kwabena has issues with some 3 more polling stations. Ablekuma North had issues with some 69 more polling stations to be dealt with before the final result is declared. we were hoping that at this press conference, the Electoral Commission will be forthright on when exactly they will be doing that re-collation or ending that process and declaring the final winner as inauguration of Parliament is approaching. The EC again tells us that they will do that, but a final decision has not been taken on when exactly that will be done. They only assure that they will complete that before the dissolution of the current Parliament on the night of 6th January and inauguration on the 7th of January. And so the assurance is that they will deal with those two before we go into the inauguration next year. The third issue was about after the election, key constitutional activities need to be happening, especially in Parliament. As we speak, if the previous incident has to be followed, the Parliament is supposed to be registering members, both old members who have retained their seats as well as new members who are elected to go into the House. The registration process is supposed to be ongoing. But as we speak, as at this afternoon, the grievances from some of the MPs is that that process is not ongoing because the EC has not submitted the official list of the gazetted members of Parliament, elected members of Parliament to Parliament. And so I put that to Dr. Bosman Asari and the Deputy Chair in charge of Electoral Services. The Deputy Chair, Mr. Samuel Tete, actually stepped in and indicated that as we speak, they have gazetted some 274 members of Parliament elect and has presented that list to Parliament. That is contrary to what we've heard earlier. He said they've presented 274 MP elect lists to the Clerk of Parliament, and so they are surprised at this information that the registration process has halted because they have not presented the list, saying that even that is at the registries, which is accessible to the general public. And so those are the key issues they've been talking about, debunking the fact that this process is illegal and that they are presented the final MPs elect list, 274 of them, to the Clerk of Parliament for the registration process. And so those are the assurance they've been giving, calling on the stakeholders, including the political parties, to rally behind them to conclude this process once and for all. Mabiesi, that's what we've been witnessing here at the press conference hall here at the Electoral Commission's headquarters this afternoon.
Thank you so much, James Aveji, our man on the ground at the Electoral Commission, giving us updates from what has been developing on the 9 outstanding constituencies during the elections. Now let's go on to Zoom and speak to NDC's Deputy Director of Elections, Rashid Tanko-Computer, on the latest development. Mr. Computer, we're grateful for your time on the polls, but what do you make of the recent developments that the EC has been putting out?
Yeah, let me say good afternoon to your cherished viewers and to you yourself. This Electoral Commission will continue to perpetuate illegality on the good people of Ghana and want to come publicly to peddle falsehood. Whatever the press conference they held over there was completely meant to peddle falsehoods in order to deceive the general public that they are doing something legal. Now let me put it on record. Every electoral cycle has its own CI. In 2004, there was a CI that was used to run the election. In 2012, there was a CI. In 2016, another CI also came in. Now this current CI we are using came into force in 2020, that's 2020. This current CI, and it was signed by Madam Jean Mensah. So the CI has its own regulations that we use to run the election for 2020, and the same regulation we use in running this year. Now, if you look at it, let me give you an example. In 2020, something happened at Tekima, where the collation process was being disturbed. In fact, people lost their lives at that place. We wrote back to Madam Jean Mensah insisting that the collation was not properly done. and therefore a fresh collation was needed to rectify the problem. This was Madam Jean Mensah's response to us. Recollation can be done at all levels when requested before the declaration of results. However, once election results have been declared, a dissatisfied party cannot request for a recollation or recount of the results. This was Madam Jean Mensah's response to us. She's referring to 2004. Interestingly enough, I'm still alive. I was the NDC Director of Election for Northern Region. For these two constituencies, Tolong and Yape, they had not done any declaration whatsoever in those constituencies. They were in the process of collating the results when tax came and vandalized the place. And the people ran away. Our agents ran with the pink sheets and brought them to the regional capital, where we did the recollation, and now declared the results at the regional office. That was not the one they are referring to. Our issue with them is that we are against recollation of results because the current CI doesn't make room for that. Those days, the CI made room for those things. And interesting that they were not even doing recollation because the declarations were not done. Proof, for instance.
Dr. Tanko, I mean, the Electoral Commission explains or justified their decision for recollation. These constituencies have their numbers in dispute. How else, even the courts have given the directive for a recollation in some of these centers. So how then do you say this? I mean, there's a justification for what's happening.
And that's why I'm saying that I'm just disputing that falsehood they put out there. To say that because it has happened previously, they can do it. And I'm saying that you don't use an illegality somewhere. Especially those days, it was legal because the CI make room for that.
And what in your opinion,
the CI doesn't make room for it.
What in your opinion then, can this dispute be settled?
That is why we filed a suit at Supreme Court. As we speak now, we have a case with the Supreme Court because we thought that what the High Court did was a complete illegality, travesty of justice. The judge did not even take his time to look at the facts before him. Because he has ruled their writ of mandamus and gave them that luxury to go and do that kind of illegality. He could not make any decision outside from what he did initially. That's why we went to Supreme Court to stay the execution. And I was expecting that the Electoral Commission will respect the Supreme Court action that we have taken. So what do we see? It's become an illegal, it is a lawless organization.
So, Dr. Tanko, oh, right. So, if I get you, the High Court took in your own words, an illegal decision. But should the Supreme Court make that same or admit to the High Court decision and then says that a recollation should be done to put to rest the disputes between on these numbers that have been put out there, what then? Would you then accept that a recollation be done?
Dear, let's wait for that decision. When we get there, we'll cross. But I'm saying that the statement put out by the Electoral Commission is a complete falsehood. And I've disputed it. And let them tell the general public that whatever they are putting out there was for the past. They had CIs for that. Their current CI does not make room for recollation. And whatever they are doing, they were not going to accept it.
Well,
that's why we say it's an illegality.
Well,
in fact, they called it for IPAC meeting. We are going for the IPAC meeting this evening, 5 p.m. to talk about these two constituencies. Why did they cancel the afternoon IPAC meeting? Because they knew that they were coming to lie to the general public about that illegal thing they did over there. They don't want people to scrutinize whatever they are doing out there. So they will always run ahead of time to come and peddle falsehood and expect us to accept it. We won't accept it.
Well, Dr. Tanko, so, I mean, ahead of that IPAC meeting later this evening, I just want to know from you, we understand at least 274 names have been gazetted and going through the registration process for Parliament. What do you make of that development now, even though you are disputing the results of the 7 constituencies that have been called in the name of the NPP?
We have other plans for that. Look, they have hurriedly gone to gazette those people, those illegal things that they did. We have other plans for that.
Right.
And that's why we are in Supreme Court. We want to use legal means, every legal means possible to stop this illegality. Because we are not going to allow this.
All right.
Because this one is raping the people's mandate. Some people are out there to rape the people's mandate, and we have to stop that.
Right. We're grateful for your time. Dr. Rashid Tanko is Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, giving his opinion on the just ended press conference by the Electoral Commission. Well, meanwhile, a group calling itself as the Inner City Tribal Chiefs and Queen Mothers of the Greater Accra region is demanding a rerun of elections in the 9 constituencies that's been disputed. The group expressed concern that 17 days after the polls, the EC has yet to gazette the results due to unresolved disputes. Well, speaking on behalf of the chiefs, Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim emphasized that the delay is alarming and insisted that a rerun in the 9 constituencies is the only way to avert potential chaos and safeguard the country's stability, even though we've been hearing from the Electoral Commission that those names have been gazetted. But we can hear from the chiefs.
The National Peace Council want the political parties and their presidential candidates to sign a peace pact on the 28th of November 2024 in a bid to commit to a peaceful election on December 7th, which was purposefully done. The election was conducted on 7 December 2024 with His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia conceding an early defeat, to which the Council of Inner City Tribal Chiefs and Queens commends him highly for this show of statesmanship. It has been 17 days after this election, and the EC is yet to gazette the outcome of this election. The MPP presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has conceded defeat and has moved on with his life, hoping that probably another opportunity will come his way. The Electoral Commission is engaged in a re-collation of some 9 constituencies, which is creating tension in the country with legal luminaries in Ghana at a deadlock as to which law to be applied on this occasion. In this situation, the position of Inner City Tribal Chiefs and Queens is that those constituencies should go for a rerun.
Well, it's barely 24 hours to Christmas, and as characteristic of it, this Christmas Eve, bus terminals are buzzing with activities and long queues has increased a number of travelers gathering to embark on their journeys. For many Ghanaians, this marks the fulfillment of an annual tradition, traveling to their hometowns to celebrate the Christmas holidays with loved ones. My colleague Adobia Sari gauged the mood at the Circle bus station and has come through with this report.
It's Christmas Eve and the air is buzzing with excitement as people pack up and head home for the Christmas holidays. Well, some people are not necessarily going to their hometowns, they're just wanting a change of environment. We're here at the Circle VIP station to gauge the mood of these travelers. Come with me. Vanessa, where are you going to?
Kumasi.
And what is your expectation when you get to Kumasi for this Christmas holiday?
I'm expecting a lot, like banku, fufu, I like chicken and stuff. I'm expecting a lot because I've been here for a week and I'm going to the family. I'm going back to the family. So, I don't even know what, I'm expecting a lot from them, yeah.
Okay. You know this place is very choked. Have you found the vehicle you are going with yet? Are you stranded a bit?
Yes, I am. Like, I don't know. I hate being in the queue, but today I have to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you and have a wonderful holiday. I didn't know what to find.
Oh, me too. Quite semi ko remember. Na ma film.
Na afibia na oya sade.
Afibia every Christmas bia.
And then to say me who send nipa bebre go how why
is the cra bimu cra fenti. Enya easy.
So yes, this MFA says she's been doing this annually. She's going to see her children to celebrate Christmas with them. Why are you traveling and why are you going
to Sunyani? Because most of my family lives in Sunyani, so I just want to spend a Christmas with them.
What are some of the things you are looking forward to when you get home?
Actually, home cooked meals and quality time with family. Yeah.
Well, you know Christmas is tomorrow, but we are in the Christmas festivity, meaning starting from today through to tomorrow and then on Thursday going forward. How has it been for you? What's one word you use to describe the season?
Overwhelming. Overwhelming. Because you have to deal with traffic, you have to deal with a lot of things, but all the same it will pay off, so I'm not complaining.
Still on Christmas stories, despite the, I beg your pardon, the Ghana Standards Authority, despite an interim injunction granted in favor of the Labadi Beach Hotel, restraining Spartan Eves Limited, operators of the Polo Beach Club, from operating the club or hosting events on the hotel's property or adjoining restricted areas for 10 days, the company recently defied the order by hosting an event causing disturbance and discomfort to hotel guests on the night of 22nd December, well into the morning of 23rd of December. There's more in this report.
It is 2 a.m. at the plush Labadi Beach Hotel. The premises quiet, with all guests in their rooms, but not all are able to sleep. Loud music and fireworks from the Polo Beach Club fill the air and are clearly audible even within the hotel premises. Just 100 meters apart, it feels like two completely different worlds. While hotel guests struggle to find peace and rest in their rooms, the party is alive and thriving at the Polo Beach Club. Back at the Labadi Beach Hotel, some patrons remain restless. Guests who are visibly frustrated by the disturbance. They are calling for immediate action to put an end to the situation.
We are at the Labadi Hotel and wanted to let you know that the noise has been extremely egregious, and especially at 3 in the morning. I don't mind till 10, 11 at the beach. It's been exceptionally exhausting to hear at all times of the night, especially. During the day we're fine, or up until 12 is a good time, but 3 o'clock in the morning, that's not acceptable. So that's what I have to say about the noise pollution.
And that is disturbing when you spend so much time out and about in Ghana and you come in at night for a good night's sleep, and then your night is disturbed by unexpected fireworks. I'm assuming that it's fireworks.
Music.
And
you're still listening to The Pulse. We'll be back with more stories on the Christmas celebration. Welcome back to The Pulse, and as I promised you, there are more stories on the Christmas celebrations. The Ghana Standards Authority has deployed a team of well-trained trading standards inspectors to conduct market surveillance in various markets, supermarkets and filling stations to ensure that patrons get value for money. The trading standards inspectors have been deployed in Accra, Tema, Takoradi, Kumasi, and other major towns and cities to look out for substandard products, unapproved products, and fake products, among others, to ensure that marketers do not cash in on unsuspecting buyers and shoppers during the season and beyond. And in the studio with me right now is Director General Professor Alex Dodu. He's here to tell us about this exercise, and I'm very happy indeed, because we all would like to know what we are, getting off the market. And Professor Dodu, we are grateful for your time here. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Ma'am Lucy.
And what an interesting time. I mean, it's very important that we discuss this. As the Standards Authority, really, this task force you put in place, what's it all about?
So the Standards Authority, as most people are aware, has been around for a long time, known as Standards Board. Mm-hmm. One of our main jobs is setting standards, but also checking weight and measures. Mm-hmm. We also inspect products which are under our domain. That does not include the stuff FDA would look out for. Over the years, we have noted with concern increasing levels of non-compliance with our products. We have made a lot of noise on the issue of electrical cables, where at one stage our surveillance indicated that close to 80% of imported cables did not meet national standards. Right. But by taking action, that number has reduced drastically. Now it's below 50. Still worrying. Mm-hmm. It is still very worrying. Mm-hmm. The interest is it should be zero.
Okay.
But from the market surveillance, we realized that checking at the ports of entry alone is not enough. Certifying products alone is not enough. Being that the market is a real thing, because things coming from unapproved sources or products meant for re-export somehow leak and find themselves again on the market. So we got a new law in 2022, which permitted us to appoint inspectors and give us the powers of entry, of seizure, of distraction. And this has been a long period coming because previously we couldn't bite and we needed to rely on the courts. But Parliament said no. Find them, destroy them, no, charge an administrative penalty to help you do your work better. So you keep the money.
And this is the point I ask you. You've been to the market, right, recently. Are we safe?
In terms of, if the question is, most of the products on the market, okay, I'll answer your question. Are we safe? I'll say no, unless we are vigilant, we are not safe. Unless we are vigilant, we are not safe. Why do I say so? I started with the issue of electrical cables. All cables approved by the Ghana Standards Authority, which are on the Ghanaian market, and locally made, 100%. Imported and approved, yes. But we do see products which have not been approved and which have leaked onto the market. They are cheaper, people buy them. Around Christmas, the appetite for consumption is high. And in that high appetite lurks traders who believe that consumers are high. I mean, they are excited. So you do a smart one. And it happens. So I told my officers that this Christmas, nobody is sleeping. We actually rather going to be on the market. We are not interested so much as arresting people because we don't arrest. We arrest the products. And if you don't bring them up to the standards, we charge you some money and we destroy the products. The law allows us to do that, which we are going to do. It is only when a trader refuses to comply with our order that the law says, now tell the police, and the police will put them in for a long time.
Right.
Now, if the deterrence is high, people will be protected. Are we safe? If we take product category by category, we have huge problems. We have big problems. Big problems. I mean, this year from January, we were looking at our import data.
Right.
Let me take one product, car batteries, automotive batteries. Close to 80%, 80,
yes,
have had to be stopped because they did not comply with our standards. So we actually met the industry and told them that, guys, we've got to do something about this. Of course, it's an opportunity for local manufacturers to step in. Because why import certain things that we can produce here? And if what we are importing are always going to be substandard, the danger is that even destroying them harms our environment, it's at cost, and both customs, national security have to police them to be sure that they are out. So are we safe? Partially. I cannot unequivocally say that consumers are getting the products they want.
I think going into the minds of our audience, I said now, they'll be asking, so how did it get this bad? Were you not at the entry points to ensure that they don't get into the market in the first place?
We have been at the entry points, and the issues at the entry point forced us to not tell Parliament that, look, give us stronger laws and give us the personnel, because previously we didn't have that power of entry. Right now we have the power to enter if we suspect a substandard product is being kept. Then we come in, of course, at reasonable times, and the law makes it clear that we should give people warrants to be able to enforce that activity.
Right.
So that people do not take the unsuspecting public by storm. In fact, that's why we have insisted that they are uniformed. Because, if everybody says I'm from GSA, here I am, how do you know? And indeed, our requirement is that you, the consumer, or the trader, have a right to ask them not just for their warrant, but for their Ghana card. Because you want to be sure that this person is genuine and that he or she has been legitimately allowed. How did we get here? I would say that as a country, we were relying on local production. Then we had a bad years of economic recession. So we imported heavily and we became import dependent. Any import dependent country, unfortunately, will tell you that too much import is associated with a significant proportion of substandard products. Because as you import, you need an infrastructure to check the products, not just at the point of entry, but across board. Because it's impossible to check everything coming into the country if you want the ports to work very fast.
Right.
Now, what consumers do is that they look for the genuine products and they may even fake it in your own country. At the time we caught people doing cables, they were producing it in Ghana, but labeling it as made in Italy, China. So it's, shall we say, it's a network. And to disrupt it, you want to be at a point where the consumer buys. Because for the consumer, they've paid their taxes, so that whether it's GSA or FDA, where it's food, or NCA, where it's your cell phone, they have checked it. So that, in fact, consumers really don't care. All they want is that the state is working on their behalf and that they are protected. As state agents, would we say we have passed? No, I cannot say so. To the extent that we are picking up products which are causing worry, it means that our work is not done. I mean, if you're marking us, I don't know what marks you give us.
So I'd like to know, the Food and Drugs Authority are also into the market surveillance situation. And at this time, the focus is really more on food consumption, drinks and other things. Is that also something you're looking at?
The GSA is not looking at that, and I can assure you, because I happen to serve on the board of the Food and Drugs Authority.
Okay.
The FDA has had inspectors since inception, but in relation to food inspectors, it's gone maybe 3 notches higher.
Okay.
With the introduction of the food hygiene permit for vendors to prevent the incidents, some of which have been reported. And now the FDA is working with several local authorities to ensure that even food which is prepared and offered for sale is under hygienic conditions. I do know for a fact that the FDA has been to the nightclubs to check the drinks and the things they are putting in the drinks which should not be in the drinks. And then the nitrous, the laughing gas that,
yes.
And the FDA has clamped down and is clamping down. What we like to see is complementarity.
Okay.
The amount of work to be done for food, medicines, and cosmetics and household chemicals is huge. The FDA does have the capacity. They do have the human resource, not enough for all of us, but they have close to 1,000 staff now. We also have a similar number. But if you look at it, checking the weight of petrol stations alone, the volumes and the weights there, it's a 24/7 job that a GSA must focus on. So now, if you look at it, we are focusing on cement, iron rods, cables, household consumer electronics. We are focusing a lot on volumes of the fuels you buy, electrical gadgets, irons, and the like. We work in a complementary manner. Should we pick up anything, we inform the FDA. Okay. And the FDA regularly will call GSA and say, we went to this supermarket, the scale is not calibrated. Okay. Go and check.
So, the masses, apart from this supermarket, I mean, the average Ghanaian wouldn't necessarily go to the supermarket to buy a gadget. I would go to maybe La Paz or maybe Accra to get those items. Are your officers at these areas, or they're just focusing on supermarkets, filling stations?
No, they're everywhere. In fact, in the local areas, it's more of education and having the presence to guide people. We were in Gosu recently and Seshuyosu. Their complaint was people buying their maize and other products are not weighing them accurately and they are cheating them. So how do we help? So we have our officers, we've told them to always alert us. Because really the farms are many and they are widely spaced. And in those regions we have I think 6 in Seshuyosu, 12 in Techiman. Yes, it's enough, but it's not enough at all. I mean, if you look at Savannah, Damango, I think we have 4 people there. What, if I'm not mistaken, is 2 for that big region. Okay. So we are not everywhere, or we are not everywhere we should be. Okay. In fact, I always like.
So then the majority of the people that are getting items from the open market, how do we consumers identify, substandard goods or even expired goods that are not supposed to be used in households? I mean, those make up the majority of the population, don't you think? So why not the focus on the open market where the majority of the population will buy from?
There is always a balance to restricting trade as well as protecting consumers. Where it's in the area where the Food and Drugs Authority is, FDA will say check for the expiry date, check for the adverts, etc., etc. That is up to a point. Obviously, on the market, it's a free show. Nobody's going to check expiry date on the cassava. I mean, well, they can try. I don't know how far they can go. Or check that the kinky is moldy. So that's a challenge. For the GSA products, we are trying to promote and project the GSA mark of conformity. Right. Because really, it's difficult to know what to tell a consumer if they are buying a towel, which has a dye which is dangerous for them. Basically, it's only when they wash it that they will know. We are trying to ensure that our officers are visible to get involved to solve the problems. And indeed, we are dealing with one case where it's a practice issue. Somebody is producing a product which is generating very nasty smell. It falls between the GSA and the Environmental Protection Agency. Quite often, because we have written and also copied the EPA, the non-compliant partner is trying to comply. Okay. And that is enough to solve a problem. But some of these rest between multiple agencies. What we want consumers to know is to have belief that the state exists to protect them. In certain areas, especially on the market, it's extremely tricky. I told my officers, till we replace all the skills, Olonka will be in fashion.
Olonka will be what?
It will be in fashion till we standardize Olonka.
Yes, indeed.
Because trying to remove it without giving them something else to use. So we have come up with some innovations for them. The plastic types that you cannot bonder it, and on average, that would guarantee that if it's beans or so, it's beyond within this range. But how many people have it? Very few. Very few. So there is work to do. We have approached our bosses, as in the bosses who are appointed as both current and future. Thankfully, they've all listened. Indeed, I always go on record that Parliament in 2022 said categorically, Standards Authority, you are not anywhere. So we are going to mandate by law that you should be in every district and every region. Thankfully, as of 2 weeks ago, we are in every regional capital.
Okay.
Please don't ask me about the districts. We are not there. I wouldn't wait for the question. So it means that maybe 90% of Ghanaians who are in those places are not getting the service they must get. Yes, we move people from Accra to check the petrol stations. But if they know you are going to come 4 times a year, they wait for you and they pay the fines if they are breaking the law.
So how do you ensure that they do not break the law?
Right now, we have had a chance to bring in an extra 300 inspectors solely for that purpose. I've been asked recently how many we need. I said about 2,000 inspectors.
Okay.
But even then, that guarantees that every district has 10.
Right. So what I would like to know now is when your officers go into the market, are they supposed to be visible or they go undercover to ensure that people who are practicing or, are caught with substandard products are really, taken unawares and then their products destroyed? What is the criteria? What goes into it?
Enforcement units, we've trained all of them.
Right.
They've all gone to the police training school in Kofredia. They've had their fingerprints and criminal records checked. Their names have been published, ready for the Gazette as well. But what do? They are in 3 lots. The innovation guys look at what is coming into the country that we must watch out for. But the intelligence guy gather the intelligence. And we hear a lot of information from consumers. Then you send the enforcement team to go actually and arrest people. So quite often, we get a lot of people doing concert to us on who is doing wrong things. And the beautiful thing is that when you arrest one group, if they suspect that somebody came and grasped on them, they will grasp on other people. So it becomes, I can't mention names, that we've had one enforcement action.
So you're relying on tip-offs to give you the...
We get a lot of tip-offs. And when you catch one person, they'll say, we are not alone in the industry.
Okay.
They actually give you addresses.
And they're ranting out their other colleagues.
They rant on the rest. So for us, it makes life easy. So once you work diligently to get one arrest, quite often the ecosystem is revealed to you by that one arrest, and that helps create more.
And you made mention of a cartel that goes around getting these substandard goods into town. Have you made any efforts in clamping down on this cartel that is, pushing for this trade?
When, let me use one example which is very clear. Mattresses. There's a ban on importing mattresses to Ghana. So our companies, I don't want to mention their names to give them airtime, but you know them. The local manufacturers.
Yes.
They were enjoying good business. Then some bright person realized that materials used to package things imported can be packaged and, then they write made in any country they like and sell. When we got the intelligence, we followed up, confirmed it, went to the Ghana police and said, this, we don't want to just give a fine. Let's arrest and close them down. The police went with us, we did that. After that, we got information out from the local industry that, there are salespeople in other countries, other localities in Ghana selling products. We followed up and it's true. We issued a public notice and we've made a lot of enforcement actions in that space alone.
Right.
So it's like local industry is aware of those who are competing unfavorably with them. And they've been telling us, and with your kind permission through your medium, we'll tell all local manufacturers that if the product is regulated by FDA, tell them, those who are bringing in the substandard products, because that is the best lead. They are taking your business and harming our citizens. If we know, we'll follow up. And if you don't follow up, please, shame us. Because at the end of the day, if we don't take them out, Ghanaians will buy the products. Because they tend to be cheaper.
Of course. So, I mean, you know the economic situation we find ourselves in, and obviously you want something that is within your budget. But then, as a consumer, what are the things I should look at? How do I determine which is good and which is substandard? Because really, it's difficult to tell sometimes.
So I'm going to start with GSC, but I'll also mention the FDA since it's the festive season. Please, when you buy things, food, medicines, be sure it's FDA approved. Check for the FDA number, check the expiry date, check that. If it looks bad, it looks bad. Recently, I bought an alcoholic beverage. And just before opening the bottle, I told the seller that this looks dodgy. So it's a brand of cognac. Then the lady said, it's genuine. I said, look, if it's bad, I'll call FDA. Because I was with my enforcement team. Lo and behold, I bought it for myself and for personal use, and it was dodgy.
Okay.
I mean, when you're a connoisseur, when you taste the thing, you know that, this is not original. So I called it was in the Eastern region. I called the regional manager, I called the FDA head office. They said, call our regional manager, she will come to you. She came, and I got my refund within an hour of my money. And I know they closed down that facility.
Okay.
But how many citizens know this?
Exactly.
And how many citizens have the access we have to know that? So please inform them that if it's food and drugs, they should call the FDA officers. And I believe the FDA numbers are now all over the place. And if you call, I can guarantee you, there will be a follow-on that very moment. I have tried it. I've given the numbers to others. They've tried it, and it has worked. So don't go and buy a drink and it tastes bad and you sit down. Call FDA. If it's a GSA product, especially cables and co, call us. We normally will go and buy the product ourselves. We have labs who can do preliminary tests. And then we'll close on the facility. Please, please, please don't feel shy of state agencies.
Right.
We are paid by your taxes to serve you. You know, Ghanaians, we feel like, I will not worry them. But without that information, we will sit in our offices thinking that all is well. I know, my agencies know, that is my sister agencies. The more we go on the ground, the more we see bigger problems. When you say that, are we safe? We are not safe. We shouldn't pretend we are safe. Because the educational level is already low. Poverty is high. People would want to romanticize the fact that the cheap one is good. Because but it's not so.
Well, just because of time, for the sake of time, and just before you go, I'd like to know from you, when did you start this? So far, has there been any success stories? To which extent have your operation been successful?
The enforcement from GSA has been going on for the past 4 years. But the formal trading standards inspectors were commissioned last year by Honorable Freeman in October. And they've been working. What are the success stories? I've mentioned the mattresses. I've mentioned the fact that from our evidence, the proportion of cables imported, which now do not meet the standards, or that we pick on the market, which are not good, are falling drastically. From like 70%, now it's just about 30%. From our own work, about 80 to 90% of petrol stations are giving the right volume. But even if it's 10%, it's a big failure.
Yeah.
Seriously. It should be 99.9 or something.
And you talked about the sanctions. How much are these culprits paying?
Thanks to Parliament now, the sanctions are still. The minimum will be 6,000 penalty units, which currently will be 6,000 times 12.
Times 12, yes.
No, 500 times 12. Well, the minimum is 6,000 cities. They go to 12,000. But some as high as, I think, 50,000 cities. And Parliament did a nice thing. They allow us to multiply the administrative penalties. So basically, every day it keeps growing.
All right. We're grateful for your time, Doctor. I'm sorry, Professor Alex
okay.
Dodo, Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, giving us an update of their exercise going into the market to ensure that the products you're buying are standard and quality. And that's how we wrap up for this edition of The Pulse. I'm grateful. I'm Yesi Thompson. You still find stories on myjoyonline.com. Thank you for your company.